All right, welcome to the second live lecture inside of WAP Academy. Today we're going to be building your go-to-market strategy for your service businesses. I have sold video services, marketing services, and software development services and made millions of dollars doing that, but every single one of them had a very specific go-to-market strategy, meaning we had a certain service we were going to sell, but we needed to decide who we were going to sell it to and more specifically, how we were going to sell it to them. So today I'm going to walk you through that process step by step so you know exactly how to get customers for your business. So a go-to-market plan has 6 core principles. First, your ICP, your core pain, the offer, your messaging, the channels, and your call to action. And we're going to go through those right now. So make sure you have a piece of paper out. And as I go through these, start thinking about how you can apply it to your business. So first is going to be your ICP or your ideal customer profile. This is very simply a hypothetical description of the company or the individual that would gain the most value from your product or service, okay? So this could be the demographic, like their age, how much money they make, a job title or an industry. This could be a psychographic, like the values or beliefs that they hold. This could be pain points, like they have a very specific urgent problem that they face, or just a specific buying behavior, like how they research or how they evaluate options, okay? So to define your customer, you really want to make sure that you're not just saying anyone that has a business. Like if you're targeting business owners, you don't just want to say any business owner, okay? So for today's example, we're going to be using generators. So just like people who install generators into homes, okay? So I'm using this example because it's very simple to understand, but it's a home generator that if you lose power, the generator will then power your house, okay? Inside of your house, you need to turn on your lights, run your appliances, whatever, you name it. That's the example, okay? Installing generators inside of homes, okay? So to define your customer for a generator install service business, you don't just want to say anyone who needs a generator. You want to break that into specific archetypes, okay? And the 4 archetypes you could break this into are either new home buyers, people who value safety, comfort, or the value of their home. It could be survivalists, people who value self-sufficiency and high urgency. So people who literally think we're about to go into an apocalypse and they need a generator to power their house if the power goes out across the entire country. Next is home builders. So premium upgrades and mini installs is what they value. And then real estate agents. They really value trust and giving their clients good value, okay? So these are 4 different types of customers that we could be selling the same product to. All we do is we install generators in homes, but we could target new home buyers, people who are buying a new home and want to install one. We could target survivalists, people who just want safety in case there's a doomsday event. We could target the people actually building the homes, like the construction companies, or we could target real estate agents, the ones selling the homes to the home buyer, okay? So do you see how segmented your customers could get? So it's really important to dial in and pick the best ICP. So the best ICP isn't just who could buy, because most people are going to think, okay, I have a generator business. I need to sell to everyone. Everyone has a home, so I'm just going to sell everybody that has a home my generator. And they're going to run Facebook ads to everyone who has a home, and they're going to burn a ton of money and wonder why they're not profitable. Well, it's because you're not being specific enough with who is the most likely candidate, aka your ICP, to buy your product, okay? So the people that you want to look for are people who have the most urgent problem, who knows they have the pain right now, or someone who has the ability to pay, so who actually has money and can decide fast. So are you going to target someone with a $200,000 house and try to sell them a $40,000 generator? Probably not. You're probably going to target people with $500,000 to $1 million homes because they're much more likely to be able to actually afford your service. And this is very, very important principle. Next is, are they easy to reach? Who already has trust with the end customer, okay? Easy to reach meaning if I talk to a real estate agent, then they're going to be able to they're easier for me to reach my end customer than for me because they already have relationships with the customers. So my ideal customer who I target could be a real estate agent, even though they're not the one actually buying and paying me, they are the ones who have better reach to my customers, okay? And the next is repeat and referrals, who can become a long-term source. This would be the home builder example. If I get one home builder who's building 50 houses, like they're building every single house in the neighborhood, to then install my generators, that means one customer is going to actually get me 50 customers, if that makes sense, okay? So who will become a repeat customer or will actually continue to give me referrals? So these are the things you want to be asking yourself when you're trying to decide your ICP. And a good way to go through this is actually just use a simple scorecard system based off of each one of these, okay? If we look at new home buyers, how urgently do they need a generator? Not that urgent because it's a nice to have. The power only goes out once a year. Is it really that big of a deal? But a survivalist who thinks that we're at World War III and at any moment China is going to nuke the power grid, they think they need a generator as soon as possible to protect their family. So there's a lot of urgency for a survivalist. Next is their ability to pay. A survivalist is probably very paranoid and probably spends their money on a lot of other survivalist things. So they might not have the most just free money to invest in this generator, even though they know they need it. They probably don't have the money to pay for it. But a home builder who has a multi-million-dollar budget to build out their entire neighborhood, likely through a loan, they're going to be able to pay for this because they're going to justify the purchase. Because if they put generators in the home, it's going to actually make the homes more valuable for them, okay? And so since they already have a lot of money, they can then justify using this expense as a way to actually make even more money, which is something I'll talk about later. Next is reach. Who has the most access to the most amount of customers? Well, a new home buyer most likely is the only person that's going to buy. Maybe they'll know one friend that could also want one, but if you just sell to one home buyer, that's not going to turn into more customers. And so that's why the real estate agents have much better reach, because their entire job is to find people who are buying homes, which are literally your customer. So real estate agents have the most reach, and they also have the best repeat and referral system, okay? So again, not only are they going to be able to reach your customers, but they're also going to have the strongest referral network. So they're going to be able to refer more and more customers to you continuously, okay? Same thing with home builders. If you get one home builder, he can buy 50 homes, like I said before. And then the last is going to be trust. Who actually will trust you the most? And that is, again, home builders, because if the home builder has one good experience with you, he's going to be putting your generators in all of his houses, okay? So trust is pretty high across the board, but if you just do a simple scorecard like this, you kind of just make up the number based off of how you feel. You just assess each segment based off how they would feel in this moment, and then give it a score 1 out of 5. You can get a high level understanding of who your best ICP is with this scorecard. But the example in this, the builders and the real estate agents win, not because the homeowners can't buy, but because these people create repeat referrals. One customer turning into 3 is much higher leverage than just going after each individual home buyer. So again, you would not think this out the gate if you're saying, I'm going to install generators. A beginner would say, okay, I'm just going to sell generators to people who own homes. But if we look at this, the home buyer, the one that seems the most obvious, is actually the lowest scoring in the ICP scorecard. So very important to understand, but now we're going on to number 2, and that is going to be your core pain. So we have our ideal customer. Now we need to define the core pain that those customers have. So your core pain is the single most urgent, frustrating problem your ideal customer experiences that your service directly solves, okay? Again, this is not surface level. It's the thing that literally is keeping them up at night, and is a deep emotional pain, okay? Your messaging should always speak to the core pain, not just the system, okay? The symptom, okay? So the surface pain, like this would be a bad pain point, is, oh, I need a website. If I was selling website services, there's all these businesses out there who don't have a website. They're just going to think, okay, I know I need a website, but it's not that important. Where if someone is like, my outdated website is making me lose credibility and potential clients, that actually feels much deeper, and they're going to be much more likely to buy your product, okay? So as we move on, we can now see that each ICP puts the product or service into a different context. Okay, so even though the service is exactly the same based on who we're selling to, how we actually position our product is going to be leaning into the pain that that specific ICP has, okay? So different people have a different reason to buy. So new home buyers are going to buy a generator service to protect their family, and it's a smart home upgrade, okay? It's just a good thing to add to your home so your home is more complete and more valuable. Now, a survivalist is primarily buying to be prepared for an emergency. So it's not necessarily about a good investment. It's more about actually just being prepared if there is a literal doomsday event. Now, home builders they care about this generator installation because it's going to make their home more attractive to buyers. It's going to increase the overall value of their project. So it's an investment. So it's completely different than trying to protect your family. You're not going to buy it because it's going to protect your family. You're going to buy it because it's going to increase the value of the homes you're trying to sell and make money on. And then last but not least is it's real estate agents. And this is going to make the house look more valuable. it's going to give them ammo to build trust with the client, because they're going to say, hey, this will protect you. So they can lean into the value of the home buyer. And so it actually gives them more leverage in the sale. And then they're actually going to be incentivized to earn a referral fee. So if they sell one of your generators for you, you can give them a 30% cut of the profit. So that's what you guys really need to understand, is that the messaging matches the ICP, okay? So for new home buyers, it's protect your home before the next storm hits. For survivalists, the message that you're using to sell your service is never lose power when the grid goes down. For home builders, it's make your homes more valuable to buyers. And then for real estate agents, it's give buyers an upgrade that makes them feel safer, okay? So again, this is why I really want to go through this with you guys, because it's the exact same service. You're installing generators into homes, but there's 4 completely different ways to sell it through your messaging based off the ICP you're targeting, okay? So this is very important for you to understand, and that is that your offer and how you design your offer is critical, okay? There could be 10 of you guys in here that are all selling the exact same surface or exact same service, but all of you are selling it to a completely different ICP, which means your offer is different, even though you have the exact same underlying skills, okay? So a weak offer in this generator example is, we install generators. That's my business. A strong offer is, we help new homeowners in storm-prone areas install whole home backup generators so they never lose power. Book a free home power assessment, okay? That is a strong offer because it answers who it's for, what problem it solves, what outcome they get, why they should trust you, and what they should do next, okay? So who it's for, new homeowners. What problem does it solve? It's gonna help storm-prone areas never lose power. What outcome do they get? A whole home backup generator. And then why should they trust you? Because you're gonna give them a free home power assessment, okay? So if they want that, what they should do next is book a call with you, okay? So that is very important to understand. That is your offer. Your service is, I install generators, but your offer is putting it into the context that your ideal customer cares about. Very important to understand. The way you speak to people, the words you use to describe what you do, completely dictates whether they say yes or no when buying your service, okay? So one thing to do is, if you're selling a very expensive service, what a lot of people do is they create a front-end offer, which is, the goal of this is to really just build trust, because it's a smaller first step in working with you. That way they don't just get freaked out by having to pay $10,000 up front. So this could be a free assessment, or you hop on a call with them and give them a free 30-minute consultation, answer all of the questions they might have, and actually just give them genuine advice. And if they do want to move forward, they will pay for your service. Another example of this is like a $100 inspection or a custom quote. Some people might be worried that their house might be too small. They might not have enough room in the backyard. They might not have the right, power grid set up in their home. So you can actually charge them $100 just to give an inspection and help ease that worry. Another good thing is a self-serving tool like a generator sizing quiz or like a financing calculator. People aren't going to all want to pay for a $20,000 generator up front. So maybe just building a tool that says, hey, your payments are going to be this much based off your credit score. This is what your interest rate will be. That'll give them a lot of ease knowing that their service, or that the actual service, won't be as expensive as they may think, okay? These are called lead magnets in different businesses, and overall, I'll talk about this deeper in another lecture, but front-end offers are very useful, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about one of the most important parts of what decides your go-to-market strategy, and that's going to be your pricing. So the more expensive the service, the more targeted and direct your approach must be. Higher price means that they need more trust, more proof, more education, and more direct contact required for a sale, okay? So if we go through this, if you sell a product that's $1 to $300, not a lot of trust needed, okay? So you could just sell through organic content like TikTok or Instagram, maybe UGC, paid ads, or SEO. Like if you sell a $5 app that counts people's calories, let's just use that example. You could literally just make one piece of content. Someone on their feed that wants to count their calories would see it and be like, oh, that'd be really useful. Let me go download it. It's very low risk, so very low trust is needed. But if you start getting into that $300 to $3,000 range, you're really gonna start relying on referrals. You're gonna need full sales calls so you can start answering questions and overcoming the objections, or a really long webinar where you can actually educate people on the problem, explain why your solution is the best, and then back up your credibility by showing case studies. Next, if you're selling a service anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, There's a lot of trust that's needed, and this is usually done through just direct one-to-one outreach or partnerships, kind of like the real estate example, how you're partnering with a real estate agent, or even in-person sales, okay? So like you are literally going to an event, or you are going to a restaurant, or going directly door to door to the customer, to the business owner, and pitching your service in person. Because people are way more likely to trust you when they can put a face to your name and they see you in person. It shows that you care. And the reason that you can justify this is because the price point is so high. And so I want you guys to understand that WAP, this company, is literally an $800 million company, and they did that without any marketing. They only did it through direct outreach and partnerships. And so I just want you guys to understand that it has nothing to do with like, there's no ceiling to doing direct outreach and sales. It just depends on how much money you make per customer, which kind of dictates which go-to-market strategy you should be executing, okay? So just because you sell a service and it takes you a lot of time to fulfill it doesn't mean that you can't make $1 million a year as long as your pricing fits what you're doing and how you're spending your time, okay? It's very important to understand. Next is $10,000 plus services. This is really relationship selling. You're going to events and then you're layering in strategic partnerships. Like you're sponsoring an event that you know all these people would go to, and then you're in there hand-to-hand combat talking to everybody, okay? So basically a $50 service can sell from a TikTok. A $10,000 service needs calls, proof, and follow-up messages, okay? You're probably not gonna close them on the very first time you meet them. You're probably gonna have to talk to them once, follow up with them, get on another call a week later, give them more information, show them how it works. It might take a 30 to 60 day sales cycle just to get one client. But that's completely okay. That's how B2B works. So just what you guys need to understand for your go-to-market strategy, based off of your pricing, just don't use the wrong sales motion. If you're doing direct outreach for a $50 service, it's gonna be really hard for you to make $10,000 a month because you have to do so much work just to make $50, okay? It's much better to spend a lot of time to get one $10,000 client, okay? So this is just a good example for the generator example, is where could you find these people? And this is where you need to get really creative, okay? The best example I use in my life when I think about this is when I moved into an apartment on my orientation day to get my keys, they gave me my keys inside of a little information folder with all of the information on the building, including like a map. But inside of that, there was a brochure for a cleaning company, because when you move out, you are required to pay a cleaning company to clean your apartment before you move out so the next person can move into a clean apartment, okay? So that cleaning company realized a strategic partnership with every single apartment complex would be to give each apartment complex 100 brochures talking about their cleaning service to give to every single new tenant when they move in. So that way they plant the seed in the person's mind that you already have to do this. You have to get your apartment cleaned. You should be using us, okay? So it's a really strategic go-to-market strategy where they're putting brochures in their ideal customer profiles, onboarding, orientation documents at every single apartment building. So they probably didn't have to pay for that. They probably just did, they said, hey, we'll give you $50 for every person who uses us at your apartment complex. So very, very smart targeting strategy for that cleaning company. But if we're using the generator example, again, we're gonna use those same 4 archetypes. The first one would be like home builders, okay? What do home builders do? Well, they build out an entire neighborhood of homes, and then they have one home that's a model home. So they dress it all up, they put all the furniture in, and they make it look like this is what your life could look like if you buy one of our homes in this neighborhood. So if you were a smart generator installer, you could actually just go to the model home and go to the open house every weekend, and then stand out there and with a little desk and start pitching every single person. Hey, have you ever thought about installing a generator in your home just in case the power goes out? So you can actually just go to where these target customers, these home buyers already live, and then actually just set up shop outside of the open home and start giving out brochures for your service. Or you could go to the model home and pitch the home builder himself saying, hey, can you put a brochure? Can you give people a brochure every time they walk in? Or every person who decides to buy a house, can you recommend my service? And build a little partnership that way. Okay, of course you could target home builders on LinkedIn or do cold outreach and email, but you should be thinking about this in a really creative way, because your goal is really just to target where to find your ideal customer profile. Like, where do they hang out online? Where do they hang out in person? What events did they go to? Or what circumstances are they in where we could interfere and put our message in front of them, okay? That is the entire point of targeting. And so, again, there's a ton of different examples of this, but if you're a real estate agent, you can just go straight to the brokerage offices. You could DM them on Instagram. You could even do co-branded like events where real estate agents are going. You could sponsor one of those events, okay? New home buyers, open houses, direct mail. You can literally mail people anything you want. Local SEO. You can go to the HOAs of an actual neighborhood, or just go straight to mortgage brokers for people who are actually selling them the loan for their home, okay? So this is all about getting creative and trying to understand where they're already paying attention, who already has access to them, or what moments make them most likely to care, okay? So now that we have our ICP, we have the core pain, we have our offer, AKA our messaging, and we have a clear idea on our targeting, AKA who and where we actually send the message, so who we care about and where we're talking to them. Now it's actually coming down to our distribution, so how we reach them consistently, okay? So we know who we're targeting and we know where they are. Now we need to figure out how to distribute our message to them, okay? So there's really 3 ways to do this. We can borrow existing attention. So that's the brochures at open houses example, or pop-up stands like in the middle of a model home community. Next is partner channels. So this is referral deals with the real estate agents, or maybe like a home inspector comes to your house and tries to sell you this as like an add-on. And then next is digital and local. So this is like your online marketing on social media, SEO, paid ads during storm season, or like a Facebook owners group, okay? So really try to think of it those 3 ways. Borrow existing attention. So where are your customers already going to be for something completely different? And you just insert yourself in that conversation. Partner channels, like actual partnerships, whether you partner with an agency, partner with real estate agents, home inspectors, you're partnering with other people who already interface with your customer. And then digital and local, so like social media content, email outreach, social media platforms, the internet, okay? Those are really the 3 ways to get distribution, okay? A lot of people confuse marketing with distribution. Very different things, okay? So the next thing you guys need to understand is that the reason that partnerships are so strong is that it's a trust transfer. When you're selling on the internet, you're just a complete stranger, and we have kind of a defense mechanism to us when we see a stranger trying to sell us something. So if you can actually find someone who already has built up trust with your ideal customer, it's way stronger than just a stranger saying, hire me. When it's an actual trusted person's making a warm intro and a referral, and they just say, hey, you should use this company, that's very, very powerful. And so you can literally pay people just to make group chats with you. Like if you know someone is an agency for a med spa and they run all of the med spa's ads, and you're trying to sell peptides to med spas, you could then just text every single marketing agency that works for med spas and say, hey, I'll pay you $500 if you just make me a group chat with your med spa client. And so it's really important to understand that trust transfers and getting warm intros is a very, very powerful way to grow your service business, okay? So this could be agents recommend you to a new homeowner. This could be a builder lists you as a preferred vendor. This could be home inspectors adding your offer to the report, or like paid customers just giving you a testimonial, okay? You're just trying to do everything you can to get as much trust as possible, okay? So the fastest path to a high trust sale is partner with someone who already has the trust. Okay, I made a whole video on this in my last lecture, but proof assets are absolutely key to getting the deal over the edge, okay? So there's one side of it, which is the distribution and the targeting. How do you get your message in front of the right people? Now, once you do, how can you have proof behind you so they feel more likely to trust you and actually believe that you can deliver your service, okay? So proof assets, these reduce risk, they build proof that you have trust, and they and you should start collecting them from literally day one, okay? Your literal number one objective, before you even really try to focus on making money, is just getting a client, delivering your service well, and then getting a testimonial from them and creating a case study so other people can see you actually know how to do what you claim you know how to do. 90% of the reason people don't buy is because they don't believe that you can deliver on the promise. They don't trust that you're a real person. They don't trust that you can actually do what you say you're going to do, okay? They're worried that you're going to scam them. They're worried that you might not do a good job. You're not a professional, okay? So our goal to overcome that is to build proof assets. And there's a lot of different ways to do this, but I'll breeze through these real quickly. The first one is social proof, okay? This could be testimonials, Google reviews, or literally video walkthroughs of you on the site actually doing the thing. That leads into visual proof, so like before and after photos. Like if you're actually installing generators, taking a picture of where the generator is going to get installed before you do anything, and then an after photo with the concrete laid and the generator installed and the power running. Just literally showing, this is what it was before, this is what we did. This is real, it's shot on your iPhone, don't need some high production. Maybe take a picture of your team members actually working on it, and then give other local examples of generators that you've built, okay? That is so powerful, whether that's building a website for someone, just taking a screenshot of their old website, and then posting a screenshot of the new one, and then in the caption on your social media, just actually explaining why you built it this way, why they came to you, and then actually explain why this is a better website. Another one, if you're like an industry professional, if you've been employed for a long time, you have a college degree, you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you have licenses, any sort of credentials or certifications really help people trust you. And that's like the traditional world, but just making sure that's front and center and people know that you have your bar card, or that you are an accountant, you're a CPA, or you have a master's. Like, those are absolutely something that you want to share publicly. But if you don't have that, just specific wins equally work as well. So like listing the amount of clients you've helped, or the amount of time it takes for you to complete your service, or to show your Trustpilot reviews or your Google reviews. These are just all trust assets that will help you compound so your sales start to go exponential, okay? Because these are reasons people aren't buying. It's usually because they don't trust you. Now, another reason people don't buy is because they have objections. I'll talk about this more in my next lecture where we're actually talking about sales calls, but objection handling is the most important thing to do in your messaging, okay? So let's say you know who you're targeting, you know what message is going to resonate with them. You just want to make sure you also know all of the different objections they might have, even if they do decide, yes, I want that service, but they're going to have a reason that they won't buy it. They might think, oh, it's too expensive, okay? Well, for a generator that's $20,000, you don't actually have to pay all $20,000 up front. There's actually financing options available, okay? So the objection was that it's too expensive because they thought they had to pay $20,000. To overcome that objection, or to handle that objection in a sales call, you would say, hey, and by the way, you can spread your payments out across 12 months at only a 2% interest rate. So that way, instead of paying $20,000 today, you're only paying $1,800 today. Does that make sense? And so you want to handle these objections through your marketing material, through your distribution, inside your messaging as much as you can, or at least be prepared to answer these and kind of proactively understand what the objections will be. So when you do get on a sales call with a client, you're not caught off guard when they say it's too expensive. You need to have like a very quick one-liner prepared for every possible objection they might have. Don't spend too much time preparing for this. You'll usually get them as you start, and you'll start figuring out how to answer them the more sales calls you take, okay? But another example is like if they say, I don't need it yet, a way to handle this objection would be to, like if they're a survivalist, would be to literally be like, storms don't wait for convenient timing. What if there's a storm next week and your power goes out? What is your family gonna do? So you're creating that urgency to overcome that I don't need it yet objection. Next one is I don't know what I need. This is a huge one. A lot of people don't want to like commit to you coming out there, and then only for you to find out that you don't have the right size of a backyard, you don't have the right permits, you don't actually have the right tools needed to install it, and you just don't have it all figured out, okay? So people kind of will put off buying your service because they actually feel uninformed and they don't want to look stupid, okay? So a big example is they don't know what they need. And so if you can just reassure them saying like, no experience required, no financial commitment, no prior, nothing on your end. Like if you can find a way to overcome that objection ahead of time with very tight messaging in your social media posts, on your website, in your outreach messages, or in your case studies, that will help a lot more people feel comfortable buying your service, okay? And of course, like we just said, people don't trust the installer. The best way to do that is to lead with proof, have reviews, have real photos, and even have like a guarantee. Like if you don't like our service, we'll give you your money back in 14 days. So again, objections are not bad. They're completely natural, and they show you what your messaging needs to answer, okay? So just really be paying attention to when people aren't buying your service, really pay attention to the language they're using and try to get them to explain like, okay, what is it that's holding you back from getting started today? Just like ask them on a call, because they wouldn't be on the call if they didn't have a problem and they didn't think you could solve it, okay? So if they're not saying yes, it's because they either don't value the problem enough or they don't believe you're capable of it. So try to literally keep pushing them and asking them as much as you can so you can actually get an answer, okay? So really, we're wrapping up here, and I really want you guys to understand that your first go-to-market strategy is a hypothesis, okay? The market tells you the truth. The only thing you should be doing is thinking of this like a scientist, okay? Just run small tests. You can send 50 cold emails, then you can call 20 agents directly, then you get to try $100 in ads, and then offer like 5 free consultations, okay? All you're doing is trying these things and then measure what works. What is the least amount of time input for the highest amount of quality leads output, okay? So who responds? Like what type of person? Does the home builder respond, or are they impossible to get in contact with? Does the real estate agent respond, or are they impossible to get in contact with? Does the home buyer respond? Are they easy to find? Okay, so who responds? What message is actually getting their attention? So if you're going after home builders, is it about increasing the property value? Is it about adding more to the actual project itself? What actually gets their attention? And then lastly, what channel produces the calls? Is it cold email? Is it direct outreach? Is it Facebook ads? So this is all experimentation, and odds are you're going to refine it over time. So just adjust and repeat. Don't guess just forever. Just literally pick a specific customer, pick a specific message, and pick a specific channel, and just commit to that for about a week, and then see what happens. If nothing's responding, shake it up and start testing again, okay? So the whole thing to understand is that you are testing and you will learn, iterate, and refine as you go, okay? So this is our go-to-market plan template. These are the 6 things that you need to answer. If you want these slides, they're inside the WAP Academy community, but our ICP was home builders that build homes over $500,000 in storm-prone suburbs. That's our ICP for installing generators. Next is our core pain, is the home builders need premium upgrades that increase project value. That is going to be the core pain they need. They want to make sure their houses can sell for the max amount, okay? Next is our offer is a backup generator installation partnership for new builds. We're going to install generators that are backup power for anyone who's building a new house, for home builders who are building new homes. Next is our message. This is the message that we are going to say we're going to give to your customer. So give buyers a premium safety upgrade while increasing revenue. That is the message I'm going to use to get to appeal to home buyers. Okay, that's how I'm going to pitch my service and position myself. A premium safety upgrade while increasing revenue. So you're helping your customers and you're going to make more money. It's a win-win. Next is the distribution channels. Since we're making a lot of money per sale, we're going to do direct outreach. We're going to go to physical events where home builders hang out, and then we're going to make brochures for model homes. And then last but not least, what do we need to do if they're interested? They need to book a 15-minute builder partnership call. We'll give them the proposal, and then we'll make a referral agreement. So for every home you actually sell, we'll give you 20% of our service fee. Okay, so again, the real game is your go-to-market strategy and getting customers. Service is only one part, okay? So who has the pain and where can you reach them? Who already has their trust? What message makes them pay attention? And what sales process actually matches the price, okay? Go-to-market simply means turning attention into revenue with the right message for the right person through the right path. I'm gonna say that one more time. Go-to-market strategy is turning attention into revenue with the right message for the right person through the right path, okay? That is your go-to-market strategy, and this is what dictates whether you will succeed or not, okay? I'm gonna end this with one last story about someone inside the WAP Academy community, and that is Dylan, okay? Dylan joined the community around 60 days ago, and it took him 32 days to get his first customer to actually pay him. And how he got there is very interesting, okay? He worked every single day, Monday through Friday. So for 4 weeks, he was basically trying and trying and trying. When we first started working together, I asked him what experience he had. And he had been working at a pharmaceutical company through a private equity firm that he worked at. And so he had experience in the pharmaceutical company. So what his service was going to be was implementing AI into pharmaceutical companies. So he picked his service, AI implementation, and he picked an ICP that he thought he had experience in. Well, after about a week of doing outreach, he actually got on a few calls and he found out there was way too much legal red tape. So he was forced to pivot. They could not let someone like him just come in and learn all their workflows so we can install AI. So I asked him again, okay, where else do you have experience in, or what other industry do you understand? So that way you have somewhat of an advantage. And we boiled it down to the fact that he had a finance degree and that he kind of understood financial advisors. He understood their lingo, he understood the product they sell, and he invests in stocks on the side. So he kind of understood the world. So he pivoted and he changed his ICP from pharmaceutical companies to financial advisors, okay? So he started doing the same outreach system on LinkedIn, but this time targeting financial advisors broadly. He's gonna help financial advisors implement AI to grow their business. So he started getting on a few calls with them, and then after he started talking to them, no one really wanted it. It was too much of an ask and too broad, but he did realize that every single one of them, all they wanted was more clients. They only wanted more leads. And since he already had just figured out how to get these financial advisors on a call with him, he felt confident in his ability to just teach them the exact same AI system he was using to get them on the call. So he refined his offer. So now he's offering lead generation services for financial advisors. So once he started to refine that message and he used that in his outreach from more financial advisors, he started getting a lot of calls. He got 10 calls in his 4th week, okay? So he went from getting 1 to 2 calls with pharmaceutical people to 3 to 4 calls with financial advisors to 10 calls with financial advisors specifically for lead generation services. So he kind of found a good product market fit with financial advisors want more leads. So a lead gen service is much better than general AI implementation. It's AI lead gen, so it's still AI implementation, okay? So he got on a few more calls and he realized there was a very specific type of financial advisor who could use AI lead gen services, and it was the people who actually handled 401ks for people who just left their job and need a new person to actually manage their 401k. And so that is how on the 32nd day, he got his first paying client, and he realized that if he specialized on AI lead generation for financial advisors who only do 401k transfers, it was actually way easier for him to get them results, and it was way easier for them to say yes because they very specifically understood the value he was providing, okay? And so it took him 32 days to iterate through his go-to-market strategy to land on one that actually made him his first $2,000. But now he has a very clear ICP, a very clear message, a very clear pain point, and a very clear targeting strategy. And now he's ready to scale to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 per month. But it's gonna take time, so you cannot get dejected if you're not seeing results within the first week. It's an experimentation, action breeds information, and the more calls you get on, the more feedback you get, you analyze that feedback, and you make new decisions, and you refine your strategy, okay? So guys, that is your go-to-market strategy. I'm ready to code through your guys' businesses and start answering questions. So put your questions in chat, and I'll actually give you guys direct feedback now, and I'm excited to go through your guys' go-to-market strategies together.